Welcome to the Beaters Podcast, where today we are talking about strength sports or strength athletics. And before I do that, I do want to say that if you are looking for some beard grooming products, go to the link in the description and get yourself some good stuff. Now then, strength sports. What are strength sports? We have bodybuilding, functional fitness, strongman, weightlifting, and powerlifting. Now, I'm an amateur at strength sports. The one that I don't do is bodybuilding. I don't know what functional fitness is, but I'm assuming that was CrossFit. But I am an amateur at strongman, powerlifting, and weightlifting. And what are those? What are those coming down to? Essentially, everything is weightlifting when it comes to strength sports. You are essentially building up muscle in order to create a sort of tension in the body. What has the most strength? Boxing. Cool. I didn't know that. But it makes sense. Strength sports wiki. Strength athletics. Sorry. So strength athletics has been around since almost the dawn of time. It has really come down to who can lift the most things, or who can lift this thing that has the most weight in it. And it honestly comes down to multiple different varieties, like farmer's walk, where you take these giant things with handles on them and you walk them down an aisle. There's also the Hercules Hold, which is where you hold your arms out like this and you're holding two pillars. Usually it's pillars. There has been cars that I've seen before. Magnus Magnuson, you're awesome for that one. Then there's like a vehicle pull where you're pulling around a vehicle, kind of like a chariot style, but fucking more badass. There's Atlas stones, which are medicine balls for strongmen. There's stone carry, where you're literally taking a stone. I think you're just taking a stone and lifting it up and then putting it back down. That's what a lot of the strength stuff is. It's just picking up heavy shit and putting it back down. Last one I want to go through is fingal fingers, which is just basically like these giant pulls where you gotta make them topple over, but they weigh up to like fucking 500 pounds. Strongman, whole bunch of strongman. And honestly, I think that strongman is my forte, and that's the one that's coming up right now. So let's talk about that. Strongman is the world's strongest man has been around since 1977, but being the strongest in the world has been a thought pattern within man for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. To put it into a competition is amazing. It's a great way to, be more athletic about it. But because I'm in it, do I think that it is an absolute necessity? No. I think it's a great sport, but I just don't. There's been some controversies in it, and I don't blame him. Just mainly because of elevation, they change where the strongman event takes place, and due to elevation, you gotta like stay there for like 2 weeks, which can really hinder your progress. But do I think that it should stop? Absolutely not, because I'm coming after you. Canada's strongest I'm Canadian, so it's really hard to talk shit when you're Canadian, eh? You know what? I'm going to address that right now. Canadians do not talk like fucking, oh, hey there, bud. No, that's people from Northern America. I forget where. That's how much I give a shit. Because we don't talk like that. Either that, or we do, and I don't. But mind you, I think everybody has an accent. Why? Because I'm European. So, my family's from Europe. Came to, yeah. Anyways, moving on. So, World's Strongest Man, the strongman events in general, built in the 1970s. We've had, as though I'm a part of it. I honestly don't feel like going through how many champions there has been. I just, I really don't. Let's just say that United States, Iceland, and United Kingdom are the biggest, the ones with the most right now. And actually, what's funny about that is the two strongest that everybody mentions is a Lithuanian and a American. Zydrunas Savickas and Brian Shaw are usually the ones that people mention. And I am Scandinavian. It's part of the European heritage. I want to get this off my chest while I'm here. Thor Bjarnsen is a great strongman. And a lot of people who go into the sport and who see him are like, oh my god, he's awesome. Like, yeah, he's great. He's not the strongest. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. His deadlift didn't even count, so. Loading medley. Several heavy objects. Wow. Weighing 220 to 330 or 100 kilo to 150 kilo are carried and dragged and loaded onto a truck bed or similar platform over a course about 100 to 30 meters. And those are the things that you kind of expect from World's Strongest Men, is that there's tons of events and there's some that intertwine with powerlifting, which I want to get into just after this. There's tons that go through, and they're that's controversial. Crucifix. Weights are held straight. Oh, pretty much holding it like this. Try not to fall. There's tons of things here that intertwine with others. And I do want to say that, like, you know, if this isn't for you, fine. Or, like, if you're into CrossFit, fine. Just know that CrossFit is constantly made fun of. Why? Because it doesn't make sense, and it's not necessary. You don't need to do it. You know, you don't need to throw in the weight like you're fucking retarded. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, that's World's Strongest Man. Is that it's the World's Strongest Man is more about like an athletic strength. So it's not just, hey, I'm gonna pick this heavy thing up. That's powerlifting. The World's Strongest Man is, I'm gonna carry this heavy every heavy object. And I do actually have a video of me doing that, like a farmer carry style, and it was difficult. It is difficult to, like farmer carry is a great example. It's like you're lifting these 200 plus pound objects and you're carrying it back and forth, and you can't stop. Otherwise, it's just, it's going to be super difficult for you. Then there's powerlifting. I want to get into the rules after of everything. Just give a brief summary. There's regular powerlifting, where you can use straps and like when you're deadlifting, you can use a suit. And then there's raw, where you have to do it like all by hand, and it's just, oh my god, it's so much more work, but it's so much more better. So the main ones for powerlifting is squat, which hold a weight, squat down, and you do that. And then there's bench press, which, lay back, push up, and deadlift. And deadlift's my favorite because it's like a reverse squat for one, and it actually shows how much strength you actually have in your core and your lower body. And when I said that it intertwines, like the strongman intertwines with powerlifting, is that there's a lot of squatting and deadlifting in strongman. It's not just, in here. The only difference is that you don't, like, yeah, you get 3 chances at both, but I think the weights have been shown to be more in strongman than they are in powerlifting. If not, like, I'm gonna probably look that up, but I've just seen more in strongman. But mind you, I've also seen more in strongman because that is what I'm interested in. I find powerlifting very boring. Not really interested in it. Bench, and there's strictly bench press, comparative to the two, in powerlifting. Not saying that this is the only sport that has it. I'm just saying that out of the two, then you see more powerlifting in that. So, yeah, moving on. Highland Games. Highland Games, actually, I believe, was pretty much like one of the first ones, but it was strictly in Highland Games was strictly in Scotland. But I think that strongman, essentially, is a conglomerate of the circus version of strongman, the Olympics, via back in the times of fighting and stuff, and doing all these, like, oh, watch me take this heavy thing and just throw it over there. Highland strongman is also in Highland Games. You just a conglomerate of everything with powerlifting. And actually, like, the strongman of the circus is like, we used to, like, strong people like me used to be freaks, and I miss those times because I would get paid a lot more to be an absolute monster instead of not getting paid at all for what I'm doing yet. Anyways, so let's see. I think I've already gone through bodybuilding, but let me just, because bodybuilding is technically a strength sport, I guess. And of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger's the cover of this. So, in Wikipedia definition, bodybuilding is the use of progressive resistance exercises to control a development of one's muscles, muscle building, by muscle hypertrophy for aesthetic purposes. So, with that being said, a lot of it is, hey, I have a ton of muscle, look at my muscle, tell me what you think. And that is pretty much what bodybuilding is. And I don't have a problem with people building their bodies to the extent of like trying to make themselves better. I think the shtick of people being complete assholes when they are being, how do I say this? When gym bros are dickheads because you're using a pre-workout as a BCAA, or you not using BCAA as a pre-workout, and you're using a certain brand or a certain product and blah, 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 blah. Let people do what they want. You know, you don't have to be Mr. Ronnie fucking Goldman or Mr. Jay Cutler, and if you're not, like, I want to see your credentials before you start fucking razzing me on something. Don't yell at me. Don't piss me off. Leave me alone. Oh, that reminds me. I was mopping the floor because I had to work somewhere. At a gym. Some guy came up to me and was just like, and I'm just like, dude, leave me alone. Okay? Was nowhere near your girlfriend. Shut up. Literally, it was because I was fucking a foot away. Because I let her have her space. So I was mopping the floor. And what he said to me was, I'm not here to tell you to do your job, but I'm like, dude, that is exactly what you're trying to do. Piss off. Let me do my job. Anyways. There's a whole bunch of like muscle growth dietary stuff, which I think is very useful, and I'd highly recommend people to take a look at this. But overall, this isn't for me just because of the weight cutting. In bodybuilding, I know that you have to cut your weight. You have to, instead of normal sports where you cut your weight beforehand and then you weigh in, and then that's the weight that you're supposed to be at, or that's the division you're supposed to be at, which is what a lot of sports like MMA, actually strongman, if you can believe it, there's a lot of other sports who do that as well. I think powerlifting does it, but I know strongman does it, or at least the ones in Canada do, where you cut the weight. I think it's like 10% water comparative to 15 for mixed martial arts, and that's just percentage. So like if you're 300 pounds, you're gonna weigh in at like 265, I want to say, just throwing numbers out. You're gonna weigh in at a certain percentage. So but with bodybuilding, it's you're stuck at cutting. Like you're basically a controlled starvation to look a certain way. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's absolutely phenomenal, but I cannot. I will not. I refuse to be cutting that much weight. It's amazing, but I personally don't want to do it. And then you, like, of course, how do I say this? You do what you want, because, like, I've seen a lot of people who are like, the gym that I went to was a very much like a bodybuilding gym. And so when guys looked at me, they're like, "Oh, you lift a lot of weight, but you could use to do more reps." I'm like, "Fuck off! I'm not here to become your fucking sideshow attraction. Just let me do what I need to do, okay? And then you do what you need to do." I tried like a bodybuilding workout, and I hated myself. I didn't want to. I fucking I hated it. Hated myself. I just, and then I went back on the like a strongman style, and I was just like, oh, this is so much better. But that's just me. That's just that's how, because like I've known a few guys who are just like, yeah, man, I tried to do what you do, and it didn't feel right. And I'm like, okay, well, then don't do it. I'm like, it's not, and it doesn't hinder or hurt you, and like, just, I don't know, it's up to you. You wanna, if you want to be, if you want to be big and strong, do big and strong things. If you want to be bodybuilder, do bodybuilder things. But don't discourage somebody else for what they want to do. I don't know why I exited out that one. Bodybuilding. Essentially what it boils down to is there is actually similar there's similar there's a similar way to look at this. So looking at bodybuilders like Mr. Olympia, like Arnold, Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, and all of them. They have similar meal plans to strongman, where it's usually 6 meals. Actually, strongman have like 8 because you have to eat every fucking 2 hours. There's tons of dietary needs, such as like high protein, lower on the sugars, and you need to have a bit of a higher carb. But if you're cutting weight for bodybuilding, it gets a little bit lower. There's nutrition involved in it, where you need to be essentially higher on the protein scale, which I've said before. There's a meal plan to it, and it's not just like, hey, eat a lot of fuck food and you get to where you want to go. No, you have to you can't just chow down on McDonald's. You actually have to eat a certain way and be a certain way. You can't just chow down and expect results from it. You actually have to put in the work. And that is what a lot of people don't understand, is that, and it's the same with powerlifting or any other strength sport, is if you put in the work, you get results. And that is what I've been telling people who want to do bodybuilding, who want to do strongman, who want to do powerlifting, is that you put in the work, you get results. I know people who come in for, like when I was working out, I would work out from anywhere from 3 to 6 hours a day. And people would come in and they're like, oh, like, how long have you been here? I'm like, oh, like an hour or two. And they'd be like, oh, wow, you how long do you have? I'm like, I don't know, an hour or two. They're like, how long do you work out for? I'm like, 3 hours. They're like, holy fuck, I'm only here for 45 minutes. So it's like, yeah, well, you're training differently than I am. And that's okay. It's okay to, put in different types of work. Like you can put in 3 to 6 hours at the gym if you want. I know bodybuilder guys who put in like 4 hours at the gym. Like I would, this one guy I know, a really great guy, love him to death. We used to go to the same gym, and I went in, and he was there already for like a half hour. And we said, hey, how's it going? Hello. And I started my workout, and when I left, I'm like, oh, like, how long do you have? He's like, oh, about a half hour. I'm like, you fucking work out for 4 hours? He's like, out of time. I'm like, buddy, I don't know, like, it was great. It was awesome to, see such dedication. A lot of people don't have that dedication. But with that dedication also comes with body dysmorphia, where you think you're either fat or too skinny. And like for me, I think I'm like really heavy in the midsection, which I kind of am, but that's fine. But I always, like, no matter how much I work my arms, I always think that I have very small arms. I don't. People tell me all the time. I think my best quality is my legs, or at least my calves. I think my quads need a little bit more work here and there, but that's my interpretation. That's my perception of myself. Do I think that it's always going to be that way? No. But that's unfortunately what it comes down to is I'm never gonna get the results that I think I deserve. It's never gonna be I think until I win a show, it's never gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm pretty good, I'm pretty awesome. And no, like, yeah, I say that sometimes, but it's just to keep people from asking me questions. I like to be left alone. I don't like to be talking to people about ridiculous things that may or may not happen. I'm also looking at a international accolades, and so far I see Mr. Shawley, but I don't see Mr. Hall. I see Terry though. That's good. As he's 42nd. Anyways, what it kind of just boils down to is, if you like a certain sport, try it. Definitely give it a go. I would recommend trying to, as I tell everybody, to go into a gym and just start lifting weights and see how you like it. But don't just lift heavy, lift light at first and work your way up. There's nothing wrong with starting at the bottom. Like I did that fucking so many times. And honestly, I can say that it didn't really affect me to start at the bottom again. I've been at weightlifting for years, but I didn't start taking it into a sport until like 2-3 years ago. And I came 7th in my last powerlifting competition, and I think that's amazing. I didn't really understand the rules. The rules didn't really make sense. It was for reps, not for weight. So, didn't quite make sense because I was the guy trying to lift the heaviest weights. I was just like, oh, 4 reps, I'll just lift heavier than everybody else and I'll be fine. No, that's not how that worked. But is what it is. I still lifted heavier than a lot of the people there, so I felt great about that. Anyways, that's it for me, I think, and I hope everybody is doing well. Again, if you need some beard products, link in the description below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.